The new business model, more focused, more aligned to the one integrated bank, will unlock further potential for us to work together as a truly integrated bank.
UBS this week announced plans to axe 10,000 jobs in one of the biggest restructurings of an investment bank in a decade. And the Swiss bank wasted no time, with hundreds of bankers put on leave on the very day the cuts were announced.
Some of the fixed income traders came to the offices in Finsbury Square in London and discovered that the entry passes were no longer working. And by that they discovered that actually they might face a redundancy. So they were escorted by an HR representative to a separate room, and there they were told that they're on paid leave. And that they can apply for another job within the bank, but it's very unlikely that any of those traders will actually get a job.
The way staff were dealt with sounds harsh, but Chris Roebuck, former head of leadership at UBS, says the bank had no choice.
If you've got somebody on a trading desk who is going to leave the organisation, it's probably not sensible to allow them back onto the trading desk when they know they're about to leave. The issue is that most people won't do anything, but all you need is one person to decide to do something, and they could potentially bring down the bank.
UBS will ditch much of the trading business that ran at losses of around £31 billion during the financial crisis. Instead, it will focus on its private bank and a much smaller investment bank. Meanwhile, former UBS trader Kweku Adeboli is alleged to have conducted unauthorised trading, resulting in a further loss of £2.3 billion. So where did it all go wrong for UBS?
The problem with UBS was that, having moved from being very conservative in terms of what they were doing, they let the floodgates open slightly, and that led them to a position where when the market seized up, they were exposed.
I think for UBS, what it's doing with its investment banking restructuring now is actually a very decisive and logical step they're doing, because they are saying we are subscale, we're a medium-sized player in fixed income trading, so we're going to actually go out of that. Fixed income business, although it's currently going quite well, is going to be a business that is going to be punitively expensive for some investment banks due to new capital rules.
And it doesn't look like UBS will be the only investment bank forced to make some difficult decisions. Some of its rivals are still operating in areas that they're subscale in too. James Chappell, an analyst at Berenberg Bank, reckons that investment banks need to stop trying to be all things to all people.
When you look at the business model today of most investment banks, over 75% of revenues come from other financial institutions. Effectively, they're run by their employees for their employees. We believe the model needs to change, and we think it will change because of the regulatory changes that come into place. So we only think that the changes you've seen at UBS are really the start. We think this is a process that will take a long time to happen, but will definitely have to happen.
It's definitely a good trend we're seeing, as savage as it might seem that so many people lose their jobs. It is a necessary thing because the investment banking sector needs shrinkage, and this shrinkage can only happen if banks exit some business areas. I mean, there are big question marks on Credit Suisse and parts of its fixed income businesses. There are big question marks on Barclays and parts of its equities business, as well as Deutsche Bank and parts of its equities business. So every bank will take a much closer look at its strengths and weaknesses in the next 1 or 2 years.
Events at UBS this week have sent shockwaves through the investment banking community, but this could just be the beginning. The sector has had overcapacity and it's been over-leveraged. And although it's sad when so many people lose their jobs in this way, a new trend of restructuring could be just what the investment banking sector needs. Daniel Garrahan, Financial Times, London.